Okay, let's try that again. I am so sorry, guys and girls. I don't know what happened there, but it basically just stopped working. Welcome to technology. I still haven't worked out how to do this on my computer. So I do it literally on my phone, and I've connected to Wi-Fi now, so hopefully we won't have any interruptions. Okay, I haven't done a live for a while, so please let me know in the comments if you are online. How is everything going for you in quarantine? I just want to make sure that I can see the comments when they come up. Okay, great. Let's turn the live chat on. Okay, the live chat is on, guys and girls, so yay! How are you all? We still have 2 more weeks left of quarantine, and then we're being released to the wild again, but who knows what's going to happen. Anyway, guys, if you've been following my social media, you would have known that yesterday I actually started recording a video on Men Go Their Own Way, or MGTOW, and the movement. Now, what I realized was when I was recording this video, I was like, this needs to be a real conversation. This needs to be a conversation that involves some of you guys and some of you girls out there who have had an opinion or an experience with MGTOW. Now, for any of my new followers who don't know me, I'm Renee Slansky. I am a professional dating and relationship coach. Now, my main aim is to help women. I mainly coach women. I have programs for women. I've coached over 100 women personally. I have hundreds of women who do my programs. However, I also coach men. I don't advertise it a lot, but I have had a lot of experience with men. I used to coach over at The Attractive Man for any of my followers who've seen me on that channel over there. Oh, nice. So I have both perspectives, and the main thing that you should know about me is I'm not partial to women and I'm not partial to men, meaning I don't favorite women and women's opinions and women's movements and women's rights, and I don't necessarily do the same for men. I am partial to what is healthy, what is going to bring a relationship to be functional, to be joyful, and to make sure that both people are being the best versions of themselves and that they are actually growing and moving forward. Okay, so that's my background. That's my thought process. However, hi Erica. However, I do actually get asked a lot about what I think about the MGTOW movement. Now, I did a video on my channel a couple of years ago now, and it was called Should We Be Worried About Sex Robots? And I'll link it up for you guys later on if you want to check it out. Now, I had so many men actually respond to this video, and basically it was like this anger that came out. Guys were like, well, why are we being punished for wanting to have a sex robot when you women go and have your own sort of pleasure machines? And this whole anger and bitterness came out, and then the question and the thoughts about, okay, Renee, what do you think about MGTOW? And I've actually had quite a lot of women contact me and ask me that as well. So I want to dive into that, and I also want to give any of my followers an opportunity, either now while we're doing the live or later on in the comments below. I will actually be answering some of the comments below as well if you end up watching this a little bit later. But I want you to give me, your questions that you might have for me when it comes to men versus women and masculinity versus femininity. But I have 6 points that I want to bring to the forefront when it comes to MGTOW. So I just want to jump into those straight away right now. Okay, the first thing that I will say is this. It is not a competition. What I've found is that over time, gender roles have changed. And I 100% agree with you guys out there, like you men, that things aren't the way that they used to be. We don't have the traditional roles as what we used to. Women are now becoming more empowered. We've had the rise of feminism, voting. Women are becoming more confident with initiating dating. Women are getting positions that were traditionally given to men. So what I've found is that it's impacted dating and relationships greatly because there has actually been a shift in identity. Unfortunately, from my perspective, in some cases, when women have become empowered, it has actually disempowered men to a certain degree. Now, I believe that whilst there can be toxic masculinity, I do believe that exists, I also believe that there can be toxic femininity. Okay? I believe that because we've got toxic extremes of, women going, well, this is what we want and this is what we're entitled to, and, men should do this and men should do that. It's moved away from a sense of being empowered to a sense of being self-entitled. And that to me is toxic. If women have gone from empowering one another and stepping into what we rightly deserve, which is, equal pay and, fair choice and things like that, but then turned it into something toxic by coming from a place of ego and a place of self-entitlement, yes, that is toxic femininity. However, I don't believe that that gives anyone a right, or the opposite gender a right, to then step into toxic masculinity. Now, if you've got two extremes, or if you have one extreme and then you have an extreme reaction, either way there's going to be some sort of imbalance because you've got extremes, right? And it's not really going to work. So what we've done is women have gone, unfortunately, into this self-entitlement sort of high maintenance attitude, especially when it comes to dating. I know the struggles that you guys go through. However, I don't think that the answer is to step into another extreme movement that actually continues to divide the sexes. I think that we've got enough battles going on individually within ourselves and within our genders without us creating more battles by believing that if I can give an extreme reaction to something that they're doing wrong, then this is going to solve the problem. And what I find more than often is that men who have been hurt by women, men who've been hurt by maybe having everything taken away from them when their marriage falls apart, men who have been hurt by feminism or toxic feminism, rather, are men who then become bitter. And those are the men, in my experience, who then are starting to back the MGTOW movement. And as I said, two wrongs don't make a right here. It really doesn't. It's not solving the problem. All it's doing is creating more disunity, which is almost like putting fuel on the fire, which then makes the women want to react this way, and then it makes the men want to react this way. And then what we tend to do is we tend to box people. We tend to go, well, all women are, bloodsuckers. And then all women go, well, all men are men. Women go, oh, all men don't want to commit. And it's ridiculous because we can't go and label everyone of the minority who have actually done something wrong. So that's my first point. It is not a competition. The second point that I want to say is we are built to balance. We're not built to be the same. So what I mean by that is one of the things that frustrates me is everyone's like, well, men and women are equal. We're not equal. We're completely different. We have strengths about us and we have weaknesses about us. You guys have strengths about you and you have weaknesses about you. Again, this isn't a competition. If we were both the same, we wouldn't need each other. We are built to balance one another. In times where a woman is soft and feminine, she is balanced out by a man who is masculine. If a woman wants to be masculine and then she wants to date or be with a man who is masculine, then you've got two of the same energies and it's not really going to fit. What's going to happen is it's going to actually become a competition, or it's going to be something where one person feels less than the other and then it all just starts to disintegrate. So if we can get the mindset around the fact that it is okay to be different to men, and then it is okay to be different to women. This isn't about meeting eye to eye necessarily or being exactly the same. This is about understanding that the way that we're created as females and as males is to complement each other. And it's going to be hard to complement each other if we are punishing the other person for their view or their differences. Now, I obviously will never ever excuse behavior that is toxic in the way of, men abusing women or women abusing men. I don't believe in that at all. I'm talking about we're built to balance each other, because if we know how to build functional, healthy relationships because we're coming from a place of wholeness, that is when we'll actually start thriving in love. But what I think MGTOW is doing is it's having this protective mindset over men, because it's almost like you guys are wounded. And for any of my followers who are, part of the MGTOW movement, I understand you. and I see you. I may not have lived your pain, and maybe I don't know your full story, but I know that you most likely would not have this reaction to women if you yourself haven't been wounded by a woman. We are broken people dating broken people, unfortunately. But our brokenness shouldn't be a reason why we then involve ourselves in toxic behavior, toxic movements, or toxic decisions, which then actually keep us wounded. We may have been wounded by others, but I believe it is also our responsibility to actually start healing ourselves. And for women who have been wounded by men, hence maybe you've become really an extreme feminist, or maybe you've become coming from this place of self-entitlement, that again is an indication of your wounds. Where for men, an indication of their wounds is to basically close off from women, or just be against the principle of marriage, or again go into MGTOW. Either way, we've got two parties that have been wounded, and they assume that if I wound the other party even more, then that justifies my wounds. But shooting someone else when you've been shot yourself isn't going to heal the main core problem here. And so we have to understand how to work from a place where we can heal within ourselves, not label the other party as all in the same bucket. They're all trying to hurt me. They're all commitment phobes, or they're all trying to take my money, or they all want to just marry us for our money, or whatever. And be educated and understand how to regulate our emotions so that we can start to heal. Because if we just keep going through life going, well, you did this to me, so therefore I'm going to do this to you. Holy moly, you are going to have a life that is full of anger, full of bitterness. You won't have peace. You won't have progress. You may convince yourself that you do, but the truth is you won't, because you'll keep coming back to this battle and this battle again and again and again. And even if you have been wounded by women in the past, or women, if you've been wounded by men in the past, it doesn't mean that that has to be your present circumstance or your future. This is about you understanding that we don't have to be controlled by our past, and having an extreme reaction by joining something that is toxic or encouraging toxic mindset and beliefs is not going to heal you from the pain that you've been experiencing. Are you liking this, guys? Let me know if you're liking this. I know it's probably pretty heavy for a Thursday, but I feel like, this is something that we need to really talk about. I'm just reading some of your comments. Okay. All right. So, which brings me to my next point, number 3. Feminism can be toxic, but also masculinity can be toxic as well, okay? So, as I was saying before, there is unfortunately an extreme where we've had this role reversal in dating and genders and relationships. It's no longer the woman just staying at home. A lot of women are getting married a lot later in life. They're choosing to have children later on in life, or they're not at all. And sometimes it's the man who stays at home. And there has been a shift in identity, absolutely, which has caused a lot of men, more so than women, to stop and go, well, where do I fit now if she wants to take on a lot of the masculine role? And it's something that I am trying to educate women on, and obviously trying to educate men on, again, to not react, but to learn how to adjust to situations whilst also keeping to what is fundamental and healthy. However, when women go to a point where they're coming from wounds and again self-entitlement, that is when feminism can be toxic. I am all for women having equal rights. I am all for women having equal pay. I am all for empowering women. I coach women. I love to see women flourish. I know what it's like to be in an environment where you don't feel that you're heard or seen because you're a woman, or that you're just this sex object. Okay, I did modeling for years. However, I also believe that the moment that feminism becomes toxic is the moment when we move away from a place of empowerment, and again, we move into more self-entitled to punish men. And I believe that true feminism isn't about punishing the opposite sex. I believe that true feminism is about empowering women to be the best versions of themselves and step into their own power, whilst also doing it aligning with men or alongside men and allowing them to flourish as well. I mean, imagine if we lived in a world where both people were allowed to flourish and it wasn't this competition and it wasn't about, well, because you're doing this, I have to do this. You know, again, this is about, unfortunately, the influence of generations of women feeling that they've been under a lot of pressure, under a lot of limits, and they're finally doing something about it. Unfortunately, they're going to the extreme. And what it's done for men is they're now coming out with their extreme reaction as well. And the whole MGTOW movement usually came around, I think, around the Me Too movement. And the Me Too movement was obviously when women started talking about, you know, sexual assault and things like that. Now, some of them weren't telling the truth, which is really upsetting. However, we can't dismiss the truth based off the few that weren't telling the truth. And it's not fair, again, to put people in this box and have an extreme reaction to the ones and try and punish everyone for the few that actually were doing wrong. So I think that there are traits in both men and women that can be toxic. Absolutely. Some of the stories that I get from my female clients who tell me what some of the men have done to them makes me really upset. And I guess angry to a point that men would treat a woman that way. But then on the flip side, some of the clients that I have that are male that then tell me what women say to them, I'm like, are you serious? Women are actually saying that to you? That is horrible. So I see both sides here. So I just want you to understand that there are going to be toxic traits on both men and women. And it's not about focusing on, well, how can I start to, you know, be even stronger in my mindset to make sure that that toxic trait is revealed and how can we punish them? It's about, again, coming from a place of healing and understanding that not everyone is the same. You can't choose what other people are going to do to you. But what you can do is choose who you actually invite into your life. And if you are a guy currently who has actually been hurt by women or had mates hurt by women, you've maybe gone through the ringer where you feel like women have only taken you for your money, they've taken the kids away from you, you're struggling with mental health, I just want to encourage you that the answer isn't in trying to punish more women for what maybe a few women have done to you. I want to encourage you to actually focus on your healing. And I want to encourage you to actually talk to someone about what it is that you're feeling so that you can let it out and so that you don't have to carry this pain and this bitterness around you. Now, I want to also bring up a really interesting point. And this is something that my own fiance was talking to me about. And it makes complete sense. And we have a big discussion about this. What happens is when a girl is in her 20s, she is someone that develops faster than men. You know, she starts to come into her beauty. She starts to, you know, get her curves. She starts to feel a bit sexy and confident. Now, when guys head into their 20s, they're usually a little bit awkward. They're a little bit more pimply. Their hormones haven't settled down. They haven't necessarily gained their masculine features. And when I say masculine features, features which women usually see as, you know, men in their 30s and 40s, okay, a little bit older. And they're only just kind of starting out in their career. So that you've got men and women in their 20s. Now, women in their 20s tend to actually want to be with a man older. And I was the same, and I've completely confessed this in other videos. We become more attracted to more of a father figure, or just necessarily just someone who's older than us, a man who has status, a man who has security, a man who has already developed and gone past that kind of awkward stage. We become more attracted to this guy. Now, this guy's probably 10 years older than us, maybe 8 years older than us. And we don't necessarily think, oh, are we going to settle down with that guy? But we do think we want to date that guy, okay? And you'll see this happen all the time. Then what happens is that as we get older as a woman, we all of a sudden reach our late 20s and we realize that, hang on a second, we haven't found a guy yet. Because the man that we wanted to date that was 10 years older than us, we knew that we weren't really going to marry him. We were just kind of dating him to, you know, experience an older man and maybe just to experience the love that we think that we need at that time. Okay, let's not go and label people. We're just doing what we normally do on instinct, okay? Now, we then get to a stage where, and this is something that I see in my female clients, where we're in our late 20s, in our 30s, and we're kind of like, crap, I can't find a man now because the man that I wanted when I was in my 30s is now looking at the girls in her 20s. And so what we do is we kind of have these men that we pushed aside when we were 20 because they were the same age as us. They're now grown into their 30s, but they're now looking at the 20-year-olds. Or they've decided that, okay, I finally had a woman appreciate me, so I'm going to settle down with her. And this is probably why we have a lot of women who then find it harder to settle down with a guy once she gets into her late 20s and 30s or 40s, because she played the field a little bit when she was younger, which is normal. And now she's finding it harder to find a guy to want to settle down at the same age, because he is now looking at the younger ones, because the younger ones are looking at the older ones. And so we have this divide, we have this gap where the natural instincts that we have as men and women obviously give us preferences. And those preferences don't always set us up for the healthy relationship that we want. And so men feel like, well, you didn't want me when I was 20, and now that I'm 30 and I've got status and I've got, security and this and that, now you're looking at me, but you didn't want me 10 years ago, so why should I actually give you the time of day? I'm going to give the 20-year-old time of day because I know that she's actually affirming me, she's appreciating me. And that, my friends, is where we have a really, really big problem. So I think that has definitely contributed to the whole women getting into this mindset of, well, you owe me this, and men going, well, hang on a second, I don't owe you anything, okay? The only thing that each other owes one another is respect and the fundamentals if you're going to engage in a relationship with that person. But you can't go into a relationship with this attitude of, I'm a woman, so therefore I should have this. We're both humans. And because we're a human, I deserve to be treated like a human. I deserve to be respected as a human. And if that person isn't able to give you the fundamentals to have a healthy relationship, then you shouldn't be engaging with that person in the first place. Now, the fifth point that I want to make, I don't know if it's point number 5, there you go, maybe, is what are you guys trying to achieve? With the whole MGTOW movement, I understand that there is a lot of anger behind what you're feeling. That's why you've created this movement. But at the end of the day, what is that anger achieving? What is that bitterness achieving? What do you get by slandering women? And what do women get by slandering men? You see what I mean? Is going back to the first point, like, it's not a competition. This shouldn't be a battle of the sexes. This should be about, okay, how do I heal from my past pain or my present pain and make sure I don't continue to align myself with women who are going to take advantage of me again, instead of punishing every single woman out there. And lastly, I want to say that, again, the main focus has to be about healing. You will know when someone's wounded because they will become defensive. They will say things like, yeah, but, this woman, she took all my money, or she took all my kids, and she won't do this and that, and men have had enough of being put down, and blah, 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 blah. Okay. Hello, I've got an MGTOW strong slander. I don't understand what you mean about that. Let me get back to the questions in a moment, guys and girls. Let me just finish this point. So yeah, my main thing is being defensive. Defensive is the perfect indication that somebody is hurting or someone wants to protect themselves. If someone attacks you, the first thing to do is like, no, I didn't do that. And you put your defenses up, whether verbally or through silence, through actions. And people that are defensive about things that can lead to toxic mindsets is usually because they still have healing to be done. And I see it all the time in clients. I see it with men and females. So again, guys, when I'm talking about the MGTOW movement, you guys wanted my opinion. This is my opinion. This is my professional opinion. This is my personal opinion. I work with men and women. I see wounds on both sides. I see extremes on both sides. I see what is healthy and what is fundamental on both sides. And I just want to try and bring some balance. I am not here to tell you what you should do or what you should think. That's not my job, okay? I'm here to guide people who are ready to receive what is going to set them up for a healthy relationship and peace within themselves. So let me get to some of those questions. I hope you guys are enjoying this. Oh, okay. Luke, if you're still online, hold the line, gentlemen, hold the line. I don't know what you mean. What does MGT? Okay, so MGTOW stands for Men Go Their Own Way, which is kind of like men revolting against women, men revolting against feminism, men basically saying like they're kind of sick of what women are doing. And I will say this, guys and girls, statistically speaking, men have higher suicide and mental health rates than women. So this is something serious to talk about, hence why I wanted to do a live. Mr. MGTOW Strong, you said slander with a question mark. Maybe you've already answered this. MGTOW doesn't want a relationship. That's right, most of the time they don't want a relationship. Okay, Mr. Sigma Elite. Well, I'm not doing this just for you. I'm doing it for everyone, and this has been highly requested. Why are you here? That's my question. Hello from Thailand. It's not a movement. Luke, I don't know what you're going on about. We are defensive because we don't owe you shit. As I was saying before, Mr. Sigma Elite, I was saying that absolutely, you guys don't owe us anything and we don't owe you anything. But there should be mutual respect. And just because some women have done something wrong, it doesn't mean that all women are like that. Again, guys, if you like, this is my opinion and I stand by it and I'm very firm by it. And I think that it is pretty solid. And if you don't like it, then you can leave my channel. Mental health issues run in women. Mental health actually runs in everyone. And statistically speaking, because I was actually an ambassador a couple of years ago for Beyond Blue Health, which is a mental health helpline in Australia. And so I actually saw a lot of statistics about where mental health comes in. And statistically speaking, suicide rates are higher in men than they are women. Thanks, Zari. Who asked me to speak on this topic? Gosh, I have had like probably about 30 or 40 personal emails. I've had Instagram messages. I've had comments on my YouTube. I've been asked to speak on this topic for over a year now, to be honest. It's a coping movement. Okay, fair enough. That's your opinion. I do agree that you guys are using it to cope with how you feel. But I don't necessarily agree with it. Just like I don't believe in toxic feminism either. Are you going to address the issue with regards to faith, economics, or lack thereof? I don't know what you mean by that, Walter. Do you mean MGTOW? Do you mean like, especially faith? I don't know what you mean. Can you explain a little bit more? I might be able to find some answer. Okay, Mr. Sigma, if you don't believe it's a movement, what do you believe it is? And do you believe feminism is a movement? I believe it's actually a mindset. I believe MGTOW comes from a mindset that because you've experienced this is how you're reacting to it. Ooh, I don't know what NAWALT means. What is that? What's all these acronyms? Can't even talk. Thanks, Ralia. So true. Suicide is one minor aspect of mental health. Obviously, suicide is the worst aspect of mental health because people who take their life never get a chance to actually heal and live the way that they believe that they're created to live. You can roast this video as much as you want. Every time you do, it just boosts my ratings. And if you end up being too disrespectful, I'll end up blocking you anyway because I don't tolerate that on my channel. Oh, it's a little bit harsh, CBP. Hey guys, let's not abuse anyone on this channel. People are open to their free opinion. And if Mr. Sigma Elite wants to talk about his desires and his feelings and his ideas about MGTOW, he's allowed to. He's open to his opinion. What we don't tolerate on this channel is abuse. You're welcome to have your own opinion. This is how we get through things. Why is this directed at MGTOW? Why not discuss the environment that create MGTOW? The reason why MGTOW is strong is because I was asked specifically to do this. So that's why. I actually, if you want me to do a video on the Me Too movement, I'm happy to do a video on that as well. I just did a video specifically on this because this is what it was asked, well, not what is, but what people were asking me to do. Every week I've got someone asking me, when are you doing the video? When are you doing the video? So I was like, right, okay, I'm going to do the video. Oh, thank you, Goodra. It's okay. We can't, look, obviously Mr. Sigma has his own experience of what's happened in life, and that's okay. You know, it's about understanding. When we talk about something and we give an opinion, we can't expect people to agree with our opinion. We can't change people, and we can't force them to feel something or react a certain way, and that's okay, because if we all had the exact same thinking, we would never have any diversity or growth. What? Let's discuss cancer. And maybe you missed the beginning of my MGTOW. Maybe you missed the beginning, Mr. Strong. I'm just going to call you Mr. Strong. I hope that's okay. I actually did talk about it. I talked about the fact that the role reversal, maybe you missed the very beginning. I talked about the role reversal. I talked about toxic feminism. I talked about the Me Too movement and why it actually came about. I did talk about all of that. So absolutely. Luke, this bitch doesn't read most of the comments. She's trying to avoid the facts. What I don't tolerate, Luke, is being called names. And because of that, I will most likely block you from my channel, just so that you know. This is not about facts. This is about education. This is about an opinion as well. As I said at the very beginning of the video, I am very transparent. All right, okay, I'm talking about grow, and sometimes I don't see all the comments. There's so many comments coming through. I go through as many as I can. What do we do about it? Okay, Mr. Sayed Mahmood, I'm sorry if I didn't say your name right. Women are not your enemy. I believe that the world is big enough for both women and men to succeed in whatever they're called to succeed in. I don't think that women need to be a threat to your career. And I think that if you develop your own personal skills that made you succeed at your career and make you good at, you know, what you can do, and if you focus on what you can do and you continue to water that and flourish that, then there shouldn't be any, it's not that there won't be competition or that there won't be threats, but if you stay strong and stay in your lane, you won't feel intimidated by other people out there who could maybe step in and take what you want to do. Okay, how about we have a conversation instead? I don't really have conversations outside of this if I don't think it is appropriate or going to go anywhere. As I said, this is my opinion on MGTOW. I coach men as well as coaching women, and I believe that we live in a world that is full of people who have been hurt, as I've said many times. Now, Fish has an issue with the bicycle going its own way. Again, I didn't say that you guys owed us anything. Last time I checked, and I never said that you guys owe us anything, and we don't owe you anything. So that makes us both neutral. So therefore, it's silly to be fighting each other. When women get successful, why does the opposite gender always show more interest in them than ever? Good question. Maybe some of you men can answer that. I believe that when women step into their purpose, men find that attractive. Men find women attractive who are able to be a little bit independent of them, you know, show that they are pursuing something other than love and relationships. I think men find that something that they can relate to, therefore they find that attractive as well. Thank you, Mr. Strong, for saying that. Feel free to go back and watch. As I said, like this video, I talk a lot about toxic femininity in this video as well, and I talk about how women have gone from a place of empowerment to self-entitlement and how much it has actually affected men, hence why men are reacting the way that they are. Can I just say, guys, I actually can understand why men are reacting this way. And I know that's probably controversial. I'm not justifying them reacting that way, and I'm not saying that it's right or healthy, but I can understand why they're doing it. Why women have reacted a certain way, I can understand that as well. Again, I'm not justifying it or saying it's healthy, but I can understand it. Why do you put MGTOW in the title when you clearly don't understand MGTOW? For a couple of reasons, because it was a question asked to me, because I came here to give you my opinion. I didn't come here to necessarily agree with your opinion. And I did MGTOW. Absolutely, I put it in the title because that's what I'm talking about, and it's also there for keywords. Binary ruffian. I think that the MGTOW movement is definitely a reaction to how women have treated men in the past and now. Absolutely. I think that it is full of men who obviously have some bitterness about women, and if you have bitterness, then that results in anger and usually extreme behavior. Whether it's full of men that are not good looking or aren't able to pick up women, I think that is irrelevant. I think if you have bitterness in any area of your life or your mind, it's going to produce some sort of toxic mindset. Well, that's okay, Luke, because I wouldn't coach you anyway. Even the law is against men. Do you mean law? Even the law is against men? It depends. I think that the law is, I agree that the law is unfair when it comes to marriage rights for men and women. I believe there definitely needs to be more fairness around that. I believe that, I don't know about you guys, but I know that I think in Australia, if a man and a woman get divorced, the woman gets majority of the stuff and the children, and I don't believe that that's fair. Luke, you're still here. Why are you still here? Oh, hello, Mr. MGTOW. That's not very nice. If all women are sluts, does that mean that your mother is one as well that gave birth to you? Uh, 100% I don't represent all women. I represent myself. And that's why I'm talking about this, because I am giving my opinion. All right, guys. So as you can see from the comments, is a perfect example of what the MGTOW mindset is about, which is obviously slandering women, putting them down, and basically coming from a place of anger and bitterness. And I feel really sorry that you guys have been hurt so much by women, and I am going to pray for all of you. Haha, there you go. That should get some comments going. All right, guys. I'm going to leave it as that because I need to go and make some lunch. Women initiate 20% of relationships and 80% of the breakups and divorces. Well, I think that both men and women need to be accountable. And if women are initiating divorces, maybe it's also an opportunity for men to look at why the women are wanting to get divorced. And I know this is probably going to trigger a lot of you MGTOWs out there, but I'm okay with that. I'm not here to agree with what you're saying, and I'm not here to agree with toxic feminism either. I'm here to give my professional and personal opinion and hopefully help some of you realize that hating on another person or another sex is not going to heal your own wounds. Oh, don't feel bad. Honestly, don't feel bad for me at all. It's law, L-A-W, say it. I do believe that the law can be really against men as well. I absolutely do believe that. I believe that there is an injustice in the system when it comes to divorces, and the women are usually favored, and I don't believe that they necessarily should be each time. Oh, that's lovely, Barney and Ruffian, that you love. So nice that you're able to say that you've got a beautiful wife. Thanks, Ari. All right, guys, let's leave it at that. Why are men, hang on, one last one, Mega Man. Why are men punished relentlessly when it comes to visitation and child support? Do not ignore facts. I agree. I agree with that. I think it is so wrong, and I think it needs to be changed. There is actually a couple of charity groups in Australia that support men who have had their children taken away from them unrightfully. So I've known a couple of men who've gone through that situation. And as I said, I don't believe that it's right, but I don't believe that two wrongs make a right either. Cassinion. No woman has ever hurt me. It's just that I have seen good men around me getting burned and destroyed just because the woman woke up one day and decided she doesn't. And I agree. I agree that there are so many wrong things that women have done and are doing now. Some of the comments that I get from guys that reach out to me and they tell me what women do to them, I'm blown away and almost ashamed of what some women have done. And I guess this is why I try to be the best coach that I can be to women, so that I can help educate them on how to actually respect and how to treat men. And that's what I do, guys. I try to educate women on, this isn't about the woman should get everything. This is about being a team player. This is about building mutual love, mutual respect. It's not about punishing each other. There should always be boundaries in a relationship. There should always be healthy standards. But at the end of the day, if you are a wounded person and you're not willing to address your wounds, then that is something that you will carry around. Okay. All right, guys. I will talk to you again in another live. Let me know if you want me to do another live on a particular topic that you obviously are excited about or want to talk about. And if you haven't subscribed, feel free to subscribe to my channel. If this channel is not for you, feel free to leave. And in the meantime, know that you are all worthy, you are all lovable, you are all amazing despite your wounds and your pains or anything else that all of us have all gone through. And that it doesn't have to be a battle of the sexes. All right, guys, until next time, if this video helped you, drop a thanks Renee down below, and I'll talk to you all very soon. Bye for now.